Dolphins fans. Let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Wait, 80, set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the Finish Line.
I coached a great offensive lineman in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. Ballgame.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we welcome you back to another episode of the Finish Line. In fact, for how long we've been doing this, we're almost at 100 episodes. This is the very first playoff edition of the Finish Line. It only took 2 years and a bit, but we're here, baby. It's a shorter distance than what I've been waiting since 2016, so I'll take it. Boys, how are y'all? I mean, it is mixed emotions. I mean, depression has officially hit me today because now I know, at least we might have had a 10% chance with Teddy. I think right now with Skylar, we got less than a 5% chance. With Tua, I think we could have pulled this game out because I think Armstead would have came back with Tua. But at the same time, we're in the playoffs. So you're like, one part you're like, oh my God, I got to enjoy this while in the moment, while living in the moment. The other point is, boy, this moment ain't gonna last long. So enjoy those 15 minutes because you only might get 13 by the time this is all said and done. What's going on, boys? How are y'all feeling this way? And first and foremost, we need a happy birthday to the man who makes salt and pepper look beautiful. The greatest tackle to ever rock the aqua and orange. Our co-host Richmond Webb. Everyone needs to throw those Hall of Fame emojis of him in the chat and wish him a happy birthday. I sung him the Marilyn Monroe edition of Happy Birthday when I saw him backstage, so I did my part. How are y'all feeling, boys? And Mr. Birthday Boy, you start us off.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I got so much love on social media today. I'm good. I appreciate everybody chiming in, wishing me happy birthday and all that. So, but like you said, Reason, this started out a great week. Sunday, getting that win on Sunday against the Jets and actually making it into the playoffs. And especially with losing the last 5 before that. So it was good to actually get back in the win column. And I think, it's like you said, we got a lot of injuries. It's not the lineup that we want, but it's a process. And I hear Ballgame talk about that all the time, is that, we've accomplished something that we hadn't been able to do since 2016. So it's a building block. So But like you said, it wasn't good to get the news about Tua today that he's not going to be available for us on Sunday, this and that. But I understand the player health and stuff like that. But that was kind of let down. But on another note, we made the playoffs. Other good news was DeMar Hamlin. He got out the hospital. He's back there. And then I wanted to also say congratulations, Mr. Coach Patrick Surtain, my former teammate, defensive assistant with the Dolphins. He got the defense. Ball game? Oh, he's a Gator. What you talking about? Is he a Gator? I don't see no tomahawk over there. Is he a Gator?
No, he's a tomahawk. He's happy.
I'm just messing with him. But yeah, congratulations, ball game. You got your lockdown. You got your lockdown coach that's gonna teach them boys how to shut those receivers down. So I'm happy for Patrick or Coach Surtain. I seen he even worked with his son. So he's a first rounder. So he's definitely good at developing kids and won state championships at the high school level. So I'm very happy for that. But I was on a podcast earlier today with Steve Tasker, another guy from Buffalo, and we kind of talked about some of the old times. But we all know what we got in front of us, and this is what it comes down to. So we got to make it happen. But and I see the comments coming through on the channel. So thank you very much for the happy birthdays. But I'm gonna turn it over to you, Mr. Ballgame. How you doing today?
I am good, Brother Rich. It's bittersweet, right? The news came through about Tua, so that kind of threw things off a bit. But then in the same sense, right, this organization and their love for him and admiration for his willingness to be the leader of this group, they were going to do the best thing that was in the best interest of the player. So as a coach, I know what that looks like. And sometimes, in my past, we've had to, even with my own son, we've had to err on the side of caution and save the player from themselves, because I do wholeheartedly believe that Tua would have been out there, no doubt about it. But, it's just a bad timing in a lot of different ways we'll discuss a little bit later. But for the most part, life is good, man. Football is a game that we all love. Football is a game that we all have, are equally invested in and trying to provide knowledge and wisdom back to the fan base so that they're more educated about the ins and outs of it. But at the end of the day, it's really about the people, man. And the people matter more than the game sometimes. And and they should, that's what it really comes down to. So for me, I just want this Dolphins team to continue to rally around the positives and play for each other. And if they do that on Sunday, as opposed to going and just laying down and just letting Buffalo have their way with them, then I'll be proud, and I'll be able to hold my head up, and say, did their best, and that's what matters the most. Leave it on the field, and as long as they go do that, I don't have no qualms with them. I know that moving forward, I think Mike might have maybe 40% of his offense installed. They change out Boyer and get somebody in with some balls to lead the group on the other side of the ball, then things will be a lot different next year. And I tell people stand by because I don't think we haven't seen the best that's yet to come. But there's a lot of things that need to be put in place for Tua to safeguard him moving forward. Now that we've seen he's a little bit prone to injury, so it is what it is. And the game is violent.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna push back on that. Okay, and I'm gonna push back on this way. It don't matter how many limb injuries you could have, an extensive injury list to limbs, or you could have a non-extensive injury list in your past. Head injuries, they happen to everyone. It don't matter what's happened to your arms or your ankles. Head injuries, right. We've seen people who have never been injured before in their life. Trent Green never had injuries, and then the head injuries piled up and took his career away. Like we've seen head injuries literally take careers away from guys who had no injury history prior to that. We've also seen guys who were either injured all the time in college or who have had head injuries who have gone on to have successful careers after battling injuries for a couple of years where they're relatively healthy the rest of the way. And they go, i.e., look at Frank Gore. The guy couldn't stay healthy in college, and then he, rarely got hurt. right? And you go back to hockey. For me, Sidney Crosby was out for almost 2 years with concussion issues, and then he came back, never had another issue, and won 2 Stanley Cups. So you just head issues are a totally different ball game, and I will push back on the injury prone label. Now, if we're dealing with a guy who's always dealing with non-contact injuries, and if you hit his arm or you hit his ribs, or every time you breathe on him, he's on the he's out or missing time. Okay, but head injuries, different ball game. Affects everyone differently.
Well, so I said prone to injury, not injury prone. I don't think Tua is injury prone, right? And there's a difference, especially in the football realm. There's a difference for me. But there's ways to go about safeguarding and making sure that these type injuries don't happen to him. And these are the biggest ones of all, right? Like you said, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You get nicked up, shoulders, knees, things of that nature. It's all different. But they got to spend this money, man. You put the money where you put the money.
I agree. I mean, if one thing he's learned this season, you got to learn how to fall, and you got to get a new helmet. Like people around him better say, "Okay, kid, you got to learn how to fall." Like that's the thing. Like if you actually go back and look at this concussion, the most mind-boggling thing about the actual concussion was he was going to fall on his throwing arms, so he had the awareness. He was going to fall on his throwing arm. He had the awareness to turn his body, but then he didn't have the awareness to brace once he turned his body. He just turned his body to avoid, didn't brace, and then boom, right? Like you got this kid's got to understand, man. And like we see it, right? You know what he looked like? He looked like, you ever have your spouse and they're doing something and you don't like them doing it, and then they stop doing it for like a week or two, and then they go back to the same old habits, and you're like, man, you ain't never going to kick that. Remember how the first couple of weeks he was sliding? And then by the end of, he was diving head first on the losing streak. And you know what I mean? Like this kid's got to learn that this is not a game you can play with your head, man. This can take careers and lives here. You know what I mean? So, man, listen, let's get right into this. Okay. So, we listened to the interview. I watched it earlier. We listened to it before we went live here, McDaniel's presser. I had to have this question. I made this the big title of this show before we get into everything. I went over the evidence. I did this week. Okay. You saw what Tyreek said, right? What did Tyreek say after the Jets game? We're going to do some damage. We're going to get some guys back off the injury list here. Jay Glazer was saying a week before that before the Patriots game started, Tua was telling people around him, if we make the playoffs, he's going to play. Adam Schefter reports yesterday, hey, the Dolphins internally are hoping Tua is going to play for them. Before that, on Tuesday, the line moves from 10.5 to 9. Now, why is that key? We were 7.5 underdogs when we went into Buffalo a couple of weeks ago with Tua. So 1.5 point difference is not much. If Teddy or Skyler, I said yesterday, you're going to be below 13. What happens today? We dropped to 13.5. Right. So all these indications were like, you're getting the sense that, okay, people around him are, this kid's going to try and come. And we know I've explained to people, and for those that are watching for the first time, 4th and 5th stage of concussion protocol, you could really get through in one day if you think about it. Right. Because the 4th is you got to go through one practice, football activities with no contact and have no concussion-like symptoms after. And then the 5th is you got to do one practice or a walkthrough with simulated contact. Right? And you got to have no. So you could literally have one in the morning, one in the afternoon. You can get out of it in a day if you really were really good to go. Right? Like how they used to do back in the old day where Richmond would go, they would do practice in the morning, watch the film, then go back out in the afternoon and go. And we don't do that now. Right? But anyways, you can literally get through that in like that. So what are your guys' thoughts? Because you know what? I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this. If it was up to this player, if it was like 1990, 2000s, 2010s, I think he'd probably be out there for the Jets or the Pats game, and he'd be starting this weekend. Times have changed. Obviously, he had what he had on national television against Cincinnati. The DeMar Hamlin stuff has just happened, and now we are playing the team who had the DeMar Hamlin stuff happen to them. We are going to be in the only 1:00 slot that everyone's going to be watching on Sunday. Is it a matter of Tua himself thinks he's ready, but doctors aren't comfortable clearing him right now because they do not think he is?
I would probably say it's the doctors, and just speaking from a player perspective, um, anytime you can get back out there on the field and help your teammates, and you accomplish these goals as a team. So he was a huge part of the success that they had this year, even though he's missed the last 2 games or whatever. But he's been a huge part of us winning and making it to the playoffs. So um, it's a bond you form with your teammates to where if in any way possible you can get out there to try to help them win a game. Most of the time, if you're a competitive person, you're going to get out there. And I see that in him. And I think that's why you start hearing the reports probably Tuesday. Man, I feel good. I'm ready to go, this and that. I think I'm going to play. I think I'll be ready to play for the playoffs. And then the other thing is, it's the playoffs. And when you make that accomplishment, it's a new season. You get re-energized. It's you got to win, or you keep playing, or if you lose, you go home. So instead of it being 32 teams playing, it's only 14 playing now. So all that plays a factor into it. But if you care about your teammates and you got a relationship, you bond, those are your brothers, you're going to want to get out there. So it doesn't matter if it was the 90s or now. The players' mentality really hadn't changed. It's just the NFL has more protocols to protect the players now. And then the other thing is, you look at Tua, the way he was playing, like Ballgame said, he had the number 1 selling jersey. So that plays a factor in the people drafting fantasy football, this and that. So they want to protect their stars because it's a benefit to them generating revenue for the league. So I get that as well. But it's just more protocols in place to protect the player. But it's a business side to it too. But it's frustrating, I think, as a player, because you want to get back out there. You want to play because you just want to try to help your team. I've been in that situation. It's different now. And I would struggle with that mentally if I felt I was ready to play and they kept telling me, no, you can't play this week. You're not ready to go. So then it's like you have these emotions where you letting your team down, even though you feel like you play, they won't let you play. So I can see him kind of going through an emotional struggle right now.
Ballgame. He mentioned something.
Yes,
Richmond mentioned a keyword there, business. And and he also talked about the competitive side. Doesn't the businessman in Tua know that it's in his best benefit that he can go to, considering the questions that still linger around him? And also on top of that, I know what every Dolphin fan on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, or whatever is going to ask. So I'm going to ask this in the question to you. What about Kenny Pickett, who dealt with 2 concussions this year? What about T. Higgins, who had multiple concussions in 1 game this year? Why was and because one of them is a quarterback, and we know the quarterbacks have the microscopes. Why is we know he's been a lightning rod to controversy. Is it because he's always been a lightning rod to clicks, to views, and attention, that the microscope is even more so on Tua with this? Because we did not see these same stresses. Hell, we didn't even see these kind of segments on these other players when they had, because let's be honest, guys, it's 2023. Do people think this is the first quarterback this has ever happened to in one season?
It's not.
Ballgame.
It'd be crazy if they did, because it's I think, man, to be honest with you, bro, I was sitting around thinking a lot about this, and I think the way this entire season went with them punishing us for the tampering thing, and then Kenny Pickett being in the Steelers organization is a little different, only because I think they value the future of this league, and where Tua was drafted, they've already deemed and associated themselves with a high earner in terms of those sales that they get off of his jersey, like Richmond alluded to, and they want to protect that. They want to protect that investment, and regardless of whether he wants to go out there and play, which I know he possibly does, the NFL is always going to do what's best for them. Now, the PR nightmare that could possibly come from this, if something happened to Tua, is something that they're just not willing to risk right now at this point, especially with all of the stuff that happened unfortunately, with the Hamlin kid. But you got the Bills center, the Bills starting center who has 6 concussions this year, and he'll be playing on Sunday. So there is a disparaging difference to some degree in who they value. Yeah, who they value and who they protect and who they don't. And Tua's in one of those positions where that kid who's the center, he's not earning what Tua's earning for them off the field. So the NFL is going to do what they have to do to protect their cash cow. And we just happen to be, unfortunately, the ones that have to go into war against Buffalo without our general, as a result of their affinity for him and the fact that he changed the game for him, man. When you sell as many jerseys as this kid did, man, they jumping on board. And I think nobody really wants to put themselves in a position that if something unfortunately happens to him this close and they allow him
that's what I was going to ask you boys. That's what I was going to ask you boys, Ballgame. Do you think there's independent doctors out there that would clear him after all the mess and the investigation of the last time that went through? Do you guys even think there's a chance he would get cleared next week if we made it?
Maybe next week.
Maybe next week.
You got to think about it. Even with the Damar Hamlin situation, I saw something where I think Joe Buck reported that the NFL said something about we're going to warm up in 5 minutes and get the game going back, and the NFL, from the NFL office denying no, we didn't say that, but Joe Buck had to get that from somewhere, and when it got that serious,
they were taking heat. I saw that.
Yeah, they were taking heat. So they was like, Ballgame called it. It's just they're gonna protect their investment. You gotta look at it. You got Tua, you got Herbert, you got Mahomes, you got Josh up in Buffalo. So you got Berth. These are the stars. So he's one of the. So those one of the matchups that. Okay, we'll move that game from a 1 o'clock to a 4 o'clock, or no, instead of y'all playing early, y'all gonna be a Sunday night game or a Monday night game when they can match up like that. So they like Ballgame said, they're gonna protect their investment, and long term it makes sense to do that because people tune into those type of matchups. And we can all say, even if Tua didn't win the MVP the way he was playing, if he would have consistently played, he definitely would have been right there in the hunt for it.
What were you going to say, Ballgame?
No, I think the biggest thing is always going to be that you have to look at this thing from the top down, right? And asking a doctor, right, to put his name on the line and sign away and hopes that he basically shoot craps. Like you're hoping you don't crap out and that the player makes it through. Now, if you do, if he does, then you're good. But if something happens and that player goes down, they're going to hang him out to dry, man, and he'll never, ever have the chance to actually make the money, or even they'll drag him through the mud because you're the person that signed. And at this point, it would take if the Dolphins can pull off beating Buffalo this weekend, I believe wholeheartedly that he would be able to play the next weekend because of the fact that it would have exhausted all the available days. And they would have been able to go through another protocol of having someone else independently see him as well, other than just the team doctors. And they would have been completely exhaust every single option to say, you know what? Okay, he's good now, no problem. And also have the opportunity to have got him the new helmet as well, because it takes roughly about 6 to 7. It takes them anywhere between 3 to 6 days for them to get the helmet, get it tested, and then that's the prototype. And then go through the process of getting it actually manufactured. So, because I doubt he'd go back on the field with the same helmet he's had previously. So there's a lot of things that they would put in place to safeguard him, but all that time would have elapsed for them to be able to officially be able to do that if he was going to be next week. But we just gotta hope and pray that he understands and that he doesn't allow this to deter him in terms of his mental capacity, because his teammates around him got to understand too, it's a business and they're not going to put the cash cow in a position to go out there and get mauled by the Lions, on national TV, and then him not be able to be version of himself, because the NFL loses money in that aspect. And the first question they're going to be like, well, who the hell signed off on putting him out there when he wasn't ready? You know what I mean? Or if something else happens to him, everybody's head's going to roll behind that. So they're not doing that. Because that
Griffin
kid getting hurt,
says,
and that sent chills and shocks. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah,
That
yeah.
changed the
Damar
game.
Hamlin. Yeah.
That changed the game completely.
And it started on
Yeah.
the Tua really started early on with what everyone saw against the Bengals, and then Damar took it to the even further level later on, right? Like, so Griffin says he's traveling from Wisconsin to watch the Dolphins pull the East Coast version of Manifest Destiny. Fins up, let the Bills be 13-point favorites, make their L on Sunday that much sweeter. Hey man, the positivity is all there. I ain't gonna. Yeah. And then Knight says Tua is being treated as a martyr because of Hamlin. That's what he says. Yeah. Listen.
Just an unfortunate list of circumstances.
It's not even about
unfortunate.
I just want to be competitive. Like, that's why I'm depressed. It's not that Tua's out. It's that I think we have no chance of being competitive. And that's what it is. Like, like we've seen our last 4 quarterbacks we've seen since Marino retired play a playoff game will be Skylar Thompson, Matt Moore, Chad Pennington, and Jay Fiedler. And Jay Fiedler was the only one who's won a playoff game so far. What a sad list. What a sad list, man, to throw out there. Like, we deserve better than this as a fan base, man. Jeez. We just can't catch a break.
The issue for me is that I believe the Bills. Yeah, you're 100% right, bro. I'm sorry for even cutting you out, but I believe that the Bills 100% respect who Tua Tagovailoa is, and that's alone. That says a lot. Do you know how
easy this is going to be, Ballgame? Do you know how easy this is going to be for them? All they're going to do is stack the box, take away our run game because Mostert's got a broken thumb. They're going to take away the run game. They're going to watch the tape we all said. They're going to force this guy to get off his first read and have to go to his second and third read. They're going to force him. They're going to try and take away the flats, and they're going to force him to read the defense, read the coverages, and make throws and push the football, especially if they get a lead. This thing could be over by halftime and this ain't hating us. He's not ready. I'm trying to tell film tells you this kid is not ready right now.
Yeah.
That's it. He's not ready to start a regular season game. You think I'm going to think he's ready to start a playoff game? It's such an easy stack the box, stuff the run because they know we're going to do it. Force this kid to beat you. Force him to read the defense, get off the second and third read, and make plays. And he's shown he is not capable of that. He's got no anticipatory skills. He can't read defenses. It's first guy ain't there, check down. First guy ain't there, panic. He was even having problems hand off the football. Don't y'all remember in the late in the game where he missed the handoff to Wilson and Wilson turned around and they ran into each other? Because he couldn't even hand the football. And then if you actually watched earlier in the game, he almost screwed up a handoff to Wilson, and Wilson had a big hole to cut back, but because the handoff was screwed off, he had to try and bounce it outside. Liam blew his block, and it got shut down. Like that's what we're dealing with right now, heading into a game where we're going to have to put up at least 25 points. Unless our defense mimics the 2000 Ravens, this has a potential of not being pretty. And these delusional people out here pushing their Skylar narratives because they have their agendas against Tua and they just want the guy out of here, claiming they know how to watch film when it's evident, brother. I'm surprised you can wipe your ass with the right hand, let alone watch film. And they're trying to sell this a bunch of lies.
Yeah, you can't. When you know better, you can't entertain foolishness, and you're gonna have to, because they're not gonna stop. But like you say, when you know the film don't lie,
it's all for clickbait, man.
Boys, you guys both got the film. You guys both got the film. A former coach and a former NFL player. Did you guys come away saying, well, Skylar was any way, shape, or form a contributor and a major factor to our win? Someone said in my comments yesterday, Skylar Thompson's number one target was Jason Sanders. Waddle disappears, right?
Yep.
One time I saw him go to his second read, and he was still late on the throw to Waddle over the middle. So, you know, like I just want to. It's about being competitive right now, and that's where people have not seen me frustrated all season, but my frustration is showing right now because this is the 4th time I've seen us in the playoffs since Marino. I'm 37, and look at the jabroni list of quarterbacks we've had to trot out there. And I just want to be competitive. Listen, if I hope Skylar makes me eat my words and we lose 21-19 or 21-20. But we were just 32-29 in those conditions in their house. You can't tell me if we didn't have Tua or Terron Armstead, we got a chance of knocking these guys off. We did it earlier in the season with them, and we could have done it. And I think our chances went from like almost 50-50 down to less than 5%. Like, I'm not even lying.
That's what I was saying. I mean, one thing's for certain, with Tua on the field, I know the Buffalo Bills, they respect the shit out of him. And they would definitely have to play things a lot different. He earned that, right? This team earned that. The fact that this team actually got the monkey off their back over them consistently beating them every year, that changes a lot of things. And it's a small victory, and I get it, bro. But, you know, I take it because I know that it's a building block towards something greater. And I do believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that this is not going to be our last visit, and that I believe that once they get once Mike gets somebody on the other side supporting him and is ingenious about using these players to their full potential, because Boyer and it, that we're gonna be good. We're gonna be there every year at this point, and we're gonna be a problem to deal with, right? But I'm gonna take the small victory of getting in because that's what we didn't do 2 years previously. Now we're here. We get in. Just compete. I'm okay with that, right? I'm not asking. And if they do, somehow another Buffalo shows up and completely just, fumbles, then shit, the guys are smiling on us, and I'm gonna say thank you, and we're gonna keep it pushing forward because at the end of the day, that just checks another box off. All things that this young group need. Right, and then it won't, then we won't feel like X time has been wasted. You know what I mean? And crazy things happen, man, on the football field that a lot of times you can't ever explain. I've seen it myself. So
ball game. If we return to that number 5 scoring defense and number 5 team in takeaways for this game, then we got a shot, all right? Like, the defense is how we're going to win this game. The defense in a running game, this is what Alf says from 3 yards per carry. He says, real simple. Run weak side ISO, target Terron Johnson, and throw design passes and shot plays. No reads, pray. That's what he says. He ain't wrong, man. There's a lot of praying going to be happening, man. I'm going to create a Skylar vigil over here in the corner of the room and just pray to it every night that we see a Skylar Thompson. We didn't even see it. Brother, we need a Skylar Thompson we haven't even seen on tape at Kansas State to show up if the defense don't do its job, Yeah,
they got to talk to him, bro. They got to let him know that it's okay. It's okay to unleash. It's okay to let it fly, because there were instances where you saw him in the game wanting to do it, and then he checked it down, like he was worried about it. Like, you gotta just pull the Band-Aid off that thing.
He was indecisive. That was my big word I came away with Skylar from. He was very indecisive. He was indecisive when to bail and trust his legs. He was indecisive when to trust his arm. He was indecisive when to trust his reads. He was indecisive all over the place. And anyone trying to tell people different is, I don't know what they're watching. So, I mean, hey, ignorance is bliss, I guess. It also makes you blind.
Just let it breathe, man.
Just go play and have fun.
Brother, you might as well go down swinging.
Yeah.
Right? Where's he at?
That's it.
I got my pitties over here. You might as well go down and swinging, bro. Jeez. Oh, my God. I can't.
And they gotta have fun with it, man. It's still business. It's business, but they gotta have fun. It's still a game. They gotta have fun with it, right? Because there's how many other teams? There's 18 other teams in the league gonna be that aren't there, and you're one of the 14 that is.
Yeah. Well, let me give you this much, because this is an issue I had with actual people making that game about Skylar. I think that game was a definition of a team win, from coaching down to personnel on the field. Yes. And we're going to need, and this is why I told everyone, you need to be celebrating this team win because we got it at the time we needed it the most to get into the playoffs. And when guys start playing for yourselves, hey, you never know what happens. How are you guys feeling about it? Like that was, I wasn't so, overhyped Skylar with for your Tua hate agendas all you want, but the fact was you were taken away from a team win. How did you guys see that game the same way that was the definite, we can extend off this. Did Boyer save his job? Jason Sanders finally came up clutch when we were sitting here all season. Damn, hope we don't have to depend on this guy. Oh, well, Dolphins, we're going to have to depend on Sanders when it matters. We did, and he hit it from 50, albeit. What are your guys' feelings on did Sanders making up for it? Did Boyer save his job? And overall, did you see it how I said it? This was the definition of a team win when this team needed it the most.
I looked at it as a team win. Some of my takeaways from the game was, like I said, Skylar was indecision, but I think what Mike McDaniel did was run the football, and we were able to run it effectively. Mm-hmm. And I think he did a pretty good job of playing the field position game and taking advantage of that. And then the thing I noticed from the defense, it seemed like they was having fun out there. And I hadn't seen the energy, the celebrating, when they make the plays. It just seemed confident Sunday that even though we didn't have Tua or whatever, and they knew it might be a tight game, that no matter what, they was playing as if we're going to find a way to win this football game. And I just hadn't seen that the past few games. It just seemed like they just had a little bit more energy, this and that, and those things, because the defense played extremely well, I thought, this past Sunday. And I was definitely happy about that, because that's how it was the previous 2 years. They would go out there, regardless of what the offense was doing, they would go out there, make plays, shut down, and keep us in games. And they looked like they were having fun, and we need to get back to that. So I don't know if Boy saved his job or whatever, but that was one thing I did notice on Sunday that I definitely paid attention to. So like you said, I think we need to have that same attitude against Buffalo. Let's go have fun, lay it out there. If we can get Skylar just to relax a little bit and just trust it, man. This and that. Don't worry about, throwing an interception or whatever. Sometimes you can overthink things. Just trust your reads, go with it, this and that, and then let's just see where the chips fall where they may.
Yeah. Ball game.
I'm gonna jump on them and say that these guys, I'm gonna jump out on a limb and say that these guys they aren't afraid of Buffalo anymore. I think what I saw on Sunday was a group of players that went out there and just said, you know what, we don't have anything to lose and we got something to gain, so let's leave it all out here on the field. And they played for each other. That's what I've been preaching all year. Like, even if the offense wasn't spectacular, the defense didn't allow themselves to be put in the spaces where they shot themselves in the foot. And by playing together and keeping each other involved in the process and uplifting each other, the game becomes a little easier, right? Only I've been saying all year, like, we've been Jekyll and Hyde. Right? They can't travel with that energy for some strange reason, but you can get that same energy at home on the road. I mean, at home, have it on the road. That, to me, is coaching. So, no, I'm going to be the first one to tell you, Boyer hadn't saved anything for me. These players were just happy at home, sleeping at home in their own beds. You know what I'm saying? Getting that good love and getting that good cooking from whoever it is. And, but that don't have anything to do with Boyer. I don't care. It don't. Not to me. Right?
Is that what
I've seen consistently throughout the season?
Is that what it takes, bro? You just got
Richmond.
Hey?
You know as well as I do is in your own.
Buddy, I'll pay for the brothel visits if it means the Super Bowl, bro. That's all it takes. I got these boys, bro.
So
we'll start to GoFundMe right now, dog.
Being at home in your own bed, man.
It don't have nothing to do with the Tempur-Pedic. It don't have nothing to do with that, basically, what you said, huh? It ain't got nothing to do with that Tempur-Pedic match, huh?
You know what I'm at with it. But my thing, for me, man, it just really comes down to there's a team win.
Yeah.
And there were many others this year, too. I don't. Whenever you get to a point where people start talking about, this quarterback won the game and this, that, and the other, that takes away from the greatness of what the other players contributed to this process. And that's what a lot of teams and a lot of individuals forget. It is a team game at the end of the day. You need all three phases supporting each other. Otherwise, you have issues and you have a whole bunch of anarchy going around, and coach can only fix so much. I think across the board, they lessened any of the mistakes that they were prone to have made. They were prone to a lot of stupid stuff previously. They lessened those, and then they just went out there and, like I said, they just played for each other. And they can listen. I still believe that Buffalo has some flaws. Josh Allen will get outside of himself and try to do a whole bunch of stuff, and he'll throw you 2 or 3. Right?
Not us, though. He'll do that to other teams, but us, he decides to put the cape on, and he says, let's go, baby. And listen, okay, here, listen, all right? Because he will. He will, brother. This kid's been dominating us. And Tua was finally looking like he was starting to become an answer because, if you look at it, Tua had 420 yards. He had an over 60% completion percentage against him. He had 111.5 passer rating against him this year. 3 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. He made bigger throws in game. Bro. I think
they're not that good. They've just been at it longer.
Well, the problem is, you look at where X is trending right now, right? You see what the problems Garrett Wilson was giving him. What do you think, Diggs and, Gabe and all these guys are going to get? These guys are going to give him the same exact freaking issues. You know what I mean?
You got to stand up.
Well, it just feels like we're lining up for the same exact issues, kind of they're just going to because look at it. Did you guys notice in the part of the game? I'm sure you saw it. Notice how Flacco started getting comfortable a little bit there and was just standing firm in the pocket, taking the pressure and making throws to Garrett. He was just trusting him and stuff like that. I mean, it's going to come down to, Boyer is going to have to coach like his job is on the freaking line every week. These guys are going to have to play they ain't got nothing to lose every week for us to stand a shot here. I don't know. And now we head into this week where Armstead may be out again. News came out, guys, that the toe injury he had in week one doctor actually told him to have season-ending surgery, and he's played through it all year. Now, as we all know, he's dealing with what he's dealing right now. If we're getting specific on what he's dealing with right now, he has a toe, pec, knee, and hip injury. And the toe, he was told, hey, you should get it surgically repaired in week 1. That'll take you out for the rest of the season. He's fought through it. He looks like he's going to be out. Shell, if you guys were wondering what happened to Shell, he had a ankle and knee sprain on the same knee, on the same leg. Don't think he's going to come out this week. Mostert, his break was significant in his thumb, boys, that on Monday he had surgery to get it repaired. Now, they haven't ruled him out, and they said they're not going to rule him out. He could try and play.
They pinned it.
What are we going to do? Yeah. I mean, what can we really expect? I think you would be leaning on Wilson and Ahmed a little bit more. What's your guys? When you look at these injuries and how this impacts us heading into this wild card game, how do you think? Because I think, boys, Mostert, you've seen the film, you watched the games. I think Mostert during our losing streak has been the one guy trying to get us in the playoffs consistently. That guy's been running determined. He's stiffing people. He's doing everything. And then what would your line combo be? Would you kick Robert Jones to right guard and Robert Hunt to right tackle? What would your line combination be if Shell and Armstead are out? And what are your guys' thoughts on Mostert being out? Do you guys expect him to suit up?
I think I don't expect Mostert to suit up. I mean, get a pin put in. Is it his right hand or his left hand? Because, I guess it depends with the running back. It depends on which side you run to. You switch the ball, but can you secure that ball to where?
I'm guessing it's his right, brother, because he usually is he's usually righty, and for this deal to be making, I think I'm gonna guess it's the right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's hard because you got to be able to secure that, and they'll try to stand you up and strip the ball out, and if that thumb is, I don't see that. I hadn't even. Man, I got to think about that line. I don't know.
But the one it looks like you'd have to go Greg Little at left tackle.
No idea.
Greg Little at left tackle. Eichenberg at left guard. You're going to have Williams at center, Robert Jones at right guard, and kick Hunt out to right tackle is what was the best combo I could put up with.
Yeah, and Hunt's not really a tackle, so it's
Yeah, I don't want to out there. Nowhere near any of that.
Ooh.
But we got no other tackle out there. Who
You got
put
nobody.
out there?
You got nobody else. You got to put somebody
Like
out there.
tackle in college, and remember we had him at right tackle in year 1, so he has played tackle.
The Lamb hurt, huh?
Yeah.
So Lamb got hurt too, right?
Yeah.
What happened to Eric Fisher?
Did they put him on? Eric Fisher went on IR. Kendall Lamb has an ankle injury. He did not participate today in practice.
Fisher went on IR. Did he get
Fisher's
hurt?
on IR. Guys, you want to hear this? We've been through 5 tackles this year.
It's crazy.
Like on both sides.
Oh, geez.
So all these excuses we've heard about, the defense has had to deal with injuries. Miss me with that because the offense. Holy bro. The Jets game was the first time we had a backup quarterback fill in for the injured starter, and he stayed healthy.
Yeah, that's a
That
lot.
was the 5th game. Yeah. So, it's ugly, huh? It's
5.
ugly,
Damn,
boys.
5 of them. I didn't realize what that means.
Brother,
5.
You know what you need to do? You want a really good drill after we get off here? Go head on over to Spot Tracker, head over to Over the Cap. Go look at how much money we have out and injured right now. We got like over $40 million in cap space. That's freaking like out right now. Like more than like almost more than a third of our money is like on IR right now. And some of those are on rookie deals, might I add. So they're on the cheap.
And Chubb, he's got a cast on his hand too. I think I saw something.
Yeah,
right?
and so does Ingold. Yeah, Ingold and him.
Got love on too.
Ingold got surgery like on a Friday and Saturday and played on Sunday. Yeah. Wow. Go ahead, Ballgame. Go ahead. They're not, and they're giving them days off because
is that,
you know what I mean. So
is that toe that Armstead has? If it's that bad that they want him to have season ending, what is it?
That must be bad turf toe.
Turf toe.
It has to be. That's what I think it is. It has to be. It has to be.
Jeez.
Because if like that thing was shattered, you wouldn't be able to move on it.
Right.
Okay, I wanted you to check this. Okay, the injury report today. Ballgame in Richmond. The injury report today. Just that did not participate today. Okay. Armstead, Chubb, Eichenberg, Ingram, Lamb, Mostert, Shell, Tua. Add in Byron Jones, Nick Needham, Trill Williams, and all those
guys. Jones, Nick Needham, Trill Williams, Brandon Jones.
Yeah, Brandon Jones, yeah. Jesus, bro. And we somehow got to the playoffs. Should we be lauding? Should we be applauding Mike McDaniel a little bit right now with what he's had to deal with?
Yeah.
Those are significant injuries, man. Like, good Lord, yeah. Because when you think about it in terms of the starters that are out, just the sheer starters, like, I don't know. Hell, even damn, if I gotta give Mike one, I gotta give Boyer one because he down.
Yeah.
He down some significant names too. Because Nick Needham and Brandon Jones alone were key contributors, and then you got to factor in Byron went down. So I still want him gone though, but it is what it is.
Yeah. The thing is, he's had like this front 5 and his second level stay pretty much healthy. All of his injuries have pretty much been in the secondary, right?
Yeah, so it's not the same.
While we're dealing with like quarterbacks, running backs, we're dealing with the line.
And
you know what I mean?
The protection players.
Yeah. And what do you guys always say?
Start
offense,
up front.
In offense, you can afford to make mistakes. Defense, you can afford to make mistakes. Offense, you can't afford to make mistakes. So when you're on when you're on third stringers on offense, it's a lot different than on defense to an extent because those mistakes those third stringers make on offense are going to get paid for. You're going to see the consequences usually a lot more than what you're going to see a third stringer making a mistake because the quarterback might miss the read, et cetera, right? Like you can get away with that stuff.
So this kid is potentially going into Sunday's game with only 2 starters on the offensive line. Lord help us.
Yeah, Lord help us. He said, and Eichenberg is one of the 2 stars.
I just pray nobody else gets hurt, man.
Yeah.
at this point.
That's what I do too, bro. I'm gonna tell you this right now, boys.
Who's the backup? Who's the backup to Skyler?
Teddy. Okay, the reason why and McDaniel said today Teddy's preparing as if he and trying to work his way back to start. He was our backup quarterback on. Okay, here's the deal with Teddy. I'll tell everyone right now. On Sunday, Teddy was our backup. The reason why Teddy was not starting was because of the pinky finger. He couldn't throw a ball deeper than 15, 20 yards because of his grip. So what they're hoping is his grip gets better as the swelling comes down over the week and he can throw beyond the intermediate level. That's what they need to. That's the problem with Teddy right now is he can't grip the ball enough to throw past, and with a glove on too, right? He can't grip it to throw past to throw on the deep levels right now. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if Teddy wasn't injured, Teddy would be starting. Skyler gives us under a 5% chance, but I think Teddy gives us like a 15% chance, 20% maybe. Because, Teddy may get picked, but Teddy won't be afraid to throw into windows and push the ball when he has to, right? Yeah.
Right.
And you just got to hope he hits them. That's all. And, just pray for the best when he throws into them, right? Like, that's it. So, because, boys, you saw the film. How many windows did you see like Waddle alone where Tua hits them anticipates them all the time and hits them? And this kid's sometimes not even looking, let alone anticipating. So I was just like,
they flashing in front of him like this, and he's cross-eyed back there.
Bro. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
it's just, man, I am praying Skyler proves me wrong, all of us wrong, and he takes the biggest leap this week, and he can just listen.
Yep.
I showed you all the stats. Go back to it. 2019, the San Francisco 49ers, they beat the Packers 37-20. Jimmy G was 6 for 8 for 77 yards. Raheem Mostert was 29 for 220 and 4 touchdowns. But they also had a defense. So our defense needs to do their best 2000 Baltimore Ravens impression on Sunday. The run game needs to lead the way. And hey, guys, look at it this way. If the run game gets going and the defense is on point, The Patriots almost beat them last year with Mac only throwing the ball 3 times, and I trust Skyler more than I trust Mac. Let me put that out there first. I think he's got more tools than Mac. Now, I do think Mac's more developed than he is right now. Don't get me wrong. But, I could trust him more than throwing 3 times is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, I could throw him to try, 10 times, 12 times, we're good. Just don't turn the ball over. What are your guys' expectations and thoughts for this third time that these teams are meeting? Ballgame, let's start with you this time.
I mean, I think defensively, this group's not much different than the group that played 32-29. So, I think they're gonna get after it. I think Christian has cemented himself now as one of the leaders that I talked about, in terms of guys that take on a challenge and don't necessarily get too crass about who's on the opposite side. They're going to go do his job. And he rallies that front 7 pretty good. So I think defensively they'll go out and they'll compete. The question again, if you're asking too much of them, how long can they hold it before all hell breaks loose? And they're gonna really have to find a way to get some defensive scores too, because 9 points or 17 points are just not gonna get it against this group. So I don't know, man. I have very limited expectations. I think Tyreek set himself up, unfortunately, when he said it don't matter who throwing to him, he can get loose. Well, we just proved that that's not the case, because if the quarterback has the inability to get the ball out of his hand, you can't get it in open spaces, then you dead to him. You know what I mean? And you're not the Tyreek that we paid his money for. So I think he's learning that valuable lesson as well. But, maybe Skyler will, like you said, maybe Skyler will surprise us on Sunday when the defense comes out and they play their asses off, and then we get the upset. We can only hope at this point right now. One thing for certain is we're in. This game is happening, and we just got to rally behind and just hope that they make the best out of a bad situation. And really what it says, though, is that Greer has to go out in the offseason and do a better job of building depth on this team and all of the areas that we have in all of these issues, because being able to sustain yourself for the long haul and then still lose a player but have somebody slide in of quality to not lose any,
That's
momentum.
That's why Ballgame, if they're sticking with Tua this offseason, which I'm pretty sure they're going to, and I think they should after what we saw the first 12 weeks. Exactly. Man. They got to have a contingency plan that Tua's got to know in his back of the mind, man, I can't miss games because this guy can take my job.
Yeah, and somebody that's proven they can win in this league.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Richmond, what are your expectations for the third meeting between these two teams?
I mean, I'm always right with the Dolphins. I think the biggest concern is the amount of injuries. The players is probably not going to play in this game, and it does make a difference when you have that many starters out. I think, like you in Ballgame said, I think one of the keys is, the defense is going to have to play one of their best games. But the other key is our offense not just consistently going 3 and out, because if not, that puts a lot of pressure on the defense. And, once the defense gets over like 65 plays, it just get tired, this and that. So we've got to be able to establish some drives and try to put some points and stuff up on the board. I think we can do that, but I think, and it may just depend on what McDaniel sees from Skylar, and try to give him the best plays possible that he feels comfortable with, that he'll have a higher percentage of getting that type of production out of him. It doesn't have to be 30, 40 yards down the field, but it can't be the little sideways check down because the Jets was just eating it up. But it's got to be, I don't know if you got to run, more intermediate routes where they're not as deep and this and that. And, he can see it a little quicker, whatever, but make some adjustments to try to give him an opportunity and make the game competitive. But I think, like both of y'all said, it's got to be a mindset that, hey, man, we don't have nothing to lose, this and that. And then, like Ballgame said, depth is definitely key. And I think we've had more than our share of injuries at key positions, but injuries are part of the game. But you got to have some type of depth of when you lose certain players. It's not like just a dramatic dip or this and that. So we got some areas we definitely got to get better at and develop. And I think that'll definitely help us. So we got some stuff to build on. And that's the way I'm looking at it.
I agree. And someone said in the comments, and I agree with them, we got nothing to lose right now. Tyreek should be returning punts and kickoffs this week. Like, let's put the speed back there. Waddle too. Put the speed back there, and you got nothing to lose, man. We need plays. I think special teams are gonna have to make plays, and the defense are gonna have to make plays for us to even stand a chance and be in this game. What are you guys' predictions heading into? Because I'm gonna do a rare thing. I'm gonna give my first prediction of the year on this before we even get to my preview show on Friday. What are your guys' predictions heading into this Sunday's wildcard game? Final thoughts on this wildcard game and your predictions.
Go ahead, Ballgame. I'm gonna follow your lead.
Richmond's trying to find out a number suitable for us to win at. Okay, go ahead, Ballgame. You're muted, brother.
You're muted.
What about now?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, we can hear you. You good?
Am I good now?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a wild shot, and I'm gonna say 28-24 Dolphins.
Whoa!
2 defensive touchdowns, special teams punt return, and and a rare Skylar Thompson to River Craycraft touchdown.
To be honest with you, you know what, Ballgame? I think another part of having a chance in this game, I think you're gonna have to take the wind out of that stadium early, like a kick return or defensive touchdown. You're gonna have to take the wind out of that stadium early, and you're gonna have to quiet that crowd down and build off of it somehow.
Right.
Richmond, your predictions?
Yeah, man, he took a lot. He put a lot of wind up under my sail. I'm flying high right now. I'm glad
Jeff Sweet says he's on that good, bro.
Pass some over here. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think, and I think you said it right, Reason. I think we got to do something to shock them, to take the crowd out the game early, and like you said, playing Tyreek and Waddle on special teams or whatever. Like I said, we don't have nothing to lose. If we get a couple of big plays there, and a pick six or a fumble or something for a touchdown, I mean that could quieten it. And if that happens, I think it forces the Bills into a situation where they'll start pressing, and it tends to make them more mistakes. So I'm going to say the Dolphins, and I'm going to go 21-17 Dolphins.
Al from 3 yard per carry says Miami 24, Buffalo 21 behind 865-yard Jason Sanders field goal.
I'll take it, brother. Hey, I will take it.
Oh my God. Now I feel like I gotta pick the Dolphins because everyone else up here picked the Dolphins except me. Okay, listen, we won 11-6, right? And last week, what did I pick? I picked us to win 13-9 on my show.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
13-9. Yeah.
Listen, I'm taking the Dolphins in an absolute stunning victory. I'm taking us winning 10-9.
I love it. I'm
gonna take us.
I just need one more point,
bro.
I'm good. Yeah.
That mean they stepped into their grown man.
I'm gonna say this. It's gonna be 9-7. Jason Sanders again gonna have to step up from 50 plus, and he's gonna hit it, and it's gonna win it. And our touchdown is going to be. I'm going with Ballgame on this. I'm taking Waddle or Tyreek for a kick or a punt return. Is going to be our touchdown.
Sounds good to me.
I'm taking it, baby. Let's go. Bro, what do I got to lose right now? Jesus Christ.
No matter how you win, long as you win, right?
As long as you win, that's all that matters.
Bro. I don't care how pretty it is. Get that W, bro. It could be the ugliest woman at the prom. Just get the W, brother. That's all I care, bro. All right. Oh, man. All right. Listen. Gentlemen, as always, it was a pleasure. I really hope we are back here next week talking somehow, some way this team came out with the dub. I mean, I was depressed. I feel a little bit better now. Y'all got me up here saying 10-9 like I'm an idiot, so I'm good.
That's that good. That's that good. Ballgame got that good.
Yeah, you heard what I said, right?
What?
Ain't nobody ugly in the dark.
Hey, bro. Everyone look the same, bro. Bro.
That's what my granddad said. He told me that one time.
You go get your grandbaby. You've been clowning too much. Go get your grandbaby.
My granddad was a savage, man.
All right, all right, man. We're out of here. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. We will see y'all on Friday. Let's go get that W, y'all. Fins up all day, every day, baby.
Oh, no.